and the video will upload to the YouTube channels where I always post my videos. So try not to have your camera on. Also, I will also, once this workshop is over, I will send an email later today or probably tomorrow with a link to the videos and all the materials. So it's not uploaded. So we do have, if it's your first time here, we do have like a shared drive folder that has all our materials. I haven't uploaded there for today's material for today because I do want you to type with me. So do not worry, as I will upload all the materials later. And today we'll be working on a few APIs. So hopefully today's workshop be relatively short, as it probably won't take a whole an hour and a half. We will go over like a few examples in the APIs. One we're working with would be Open Notify API, which is a simple API that's serving NASA's data. Another few APIs we'll be looking at would be the cryptocurrency API called Coinbase, and we'll also be working on a few a Federal Reserve API or the equity API. So okay, let's get started. So API is short for Application Programming Interface. And an application programming interface is a protocol intended to be used as an interface by software components to communicate with each other. And let's consider this scenario. If you're a requester and think about you're having dinner at a restaurant and you are the requester and the kitchen is a system or a service or a website. The waiter is the API, and the API, so the waiter, aka the API, it's just a messenger who facilitates communication between two entities, aka you and the kitchen. The order you placed is request, and the food, whichever the kitchen cook back and deliver to you, is a response. So we'll send a request and then we'll get a response from an API. So to work with web API, first we need to choose a web service that the server that serves its data over an API. So for example, an Open Notify API is a simple API that serves NASA's data. I will copy this link to the chat so you guys can have access to it. So here I imported a request directly, but if you do not have the package called request or the library in the request downloaded, do go to terminal and do a pip install. I'll type in the chat again, pip install. So if you have using an IDE like me with PyCharm, and you can also go to preference to add the request package. So I already have the first few. I don't need this line of code. I will type from beginning. So first, once we have request imported, do type with me. And the request, we want request to get the this API called opennotify.org, which again is a web interface that serves NASA's data. And we need to send a request in order to get a response. And in order to retrieve data, we can use the GET requests. And GET requests take the URL. in our case, URL to Open Notify. And now, and then once let's make a request and print what's it returned. So this is a request that we sent out. And let's print and see what we got. Print request. So as we can see that this API returns us something that has, it's HTML5. It's a website again, so it returns the code if the website was HTML and JavaScript, the front end web service stuff. So I'm sorry about the background noise. My room is moving. Try mute yourself, please, if you're okay. And also, when we just make a request to a URL without the right endpoint, we get the so we would return the HTML content as a response. So endpoints are the location of the resources. By hitting the right endpoint, we can retrieve the data we need. Along with the data, we also receive certain status that tells us a bit about the responses. For example, if a request returns a status code 200, then everything is okay. If it returns 404, then the page or resource was not found. Let's print the status code for above from above to get a request. So now it's printing on 200, so that means the request is working. And then let's try to hit a fake endpoint that does not exist and see what that would get us. We set a variable called request2, and then request.get. Let's fake an endpoint. I'll use the same one, but then /fake endpoint. And then print request2 dot status code. So now we would return error because the no, this is the API. Is it clustering? No, this is API workshop. The link is for clustering workshop. Yeah, I will go to the calendar later on, but yeah, did you sign up? If you sign up, I will send you an email later. I'll make my next workshop the clustering workshop in our. Okay, yeah, no, this is for API. I mean, it's also useful. So, if you're more interested in our, do come back later. I will send out an announcements about that. But if you're
But
not
it's the
interested
same
in the,
time.
what do you
Is there
say?
confusion? Is there confusion with the time?
Sorry, I'm so sorry, but the link that I received in my email said that this is for the clustering correlation regression analysis. So I just
Same
put
here.
in this. Huh?
Same here. That's
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm so sorry for interrupting. I just was supposed to be in the correlation regression course, and so I apologize.
Oh, no problem. I think that won't be the same time next week. I'll do
Okay, so just so you know, an email went out that said that it was today, Tuesday, October 20th, and has this link, just FYI.
Okay, sorry. It's probably yeah, the probably my calendar is a little bit different from the systems. I apologize for that. I'll look back in the system and see what's going on.
No worries. Thank you so much. Apologies for interrupting.
Oh no, no problem.
I'm going to jump out. Thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem. Alrighty, so now we go back to, again, we use the fake endpoint over here. So, okay, there's no web interface like this. So, therefore, when we request status code, we would get an error over here. Okay, and now let's make this gray. We don't need that. And OpenNotify API serves a couple of endpoints to access the NASA data, which is very impressive. And there is the endpoint slash ISS slash now.json tells you the exact location of the space station right at this moment. I'll share the link later. And another endpoint called slash ISS pass.json endpoint returns the time at which the space station would do an overhead pass. Another interesting endpoint called slash astronauts.json returns the number of astronauts in the space, and we can try to find the number of people in the space. So we do people. We will use a different endpoint. On slash astrals.json and then print people. We do get an error here. Let's see what's going on. Module people request.get attributed or response object has no attribute. Get. That's weird. Requests. Oh, I forgot to type request.get. Okay, so now this will return us the number of people that's currently at space station and their name. For example, Chris, Ivan, the people at the space station. It may look very unreadable, but if we look close, you can see there are 6 people in space, and we can see their names along with the message success. And now we can try to make it more readable. And earlier we introduced JSON is actually a JavaScript object notation. Most APIs return a JSON. Luckily, request has a built-in JSON decode method that can return our data into a native Python data type and make it easier to read. So what we do would be people. We have a new variable called JSON people dot. So that's the first step. It's it looks pretty much the same before, but now we can make use of Almighty Python to garnish this data, right? So for example, we want to print the number of people in space. So now we just want to return the code number. Run it. So now we see that it returns the number of people in space with a number over here, 6. And the next step we to print the names of people in space using a for loop for P in people JSON. We use people. And print P name. So now, because we see that behind people, there's a list, and each list contains a string that with name, craft, ISS, blah blah blah, and we see that we have 6 people over here. Now 6 people in space right here, and then we print this. So now, yeah, we see that number of people in space with all those names over here. And so one perk about API is it's real time. Yes, we use request to read the code from website. It's not read the code from website because it's a web interface. So this data set is web based. So it returns for all the website we use HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript to code it, right? So so this it's the data we pulled from that website is JavaScript object notation. So it's a JSON data. So in order to make the data readable, we decode the JSON data to make it in the data in the form of the Python form. Okay. So this one is just a quick introduce of the Open Notify API, and next we can go. Let's see. Let's see what next one would be more useful for this. Stop. I do get an error for my Coinbase API. Let me double check. I think that website is not available anymore. So in terms of cryptocurrency, I'll again paste a few links over here. So this API attempts to present a clean interface to CB Pro, but in order to use its full potential, you must familiarize yourself with the official CB Pro documentation. And here, you can manually install this project use PEEP. So again, I will type the PEEP install code over here. It's PEEP install git plus git blah blah blah. That you need to do that in your terminal. It would not work directly. I will share another file. It's probably either this way. Give me 1 second. I will share the file instead. So now you see that we have a Google Colab document with our notes for today. And you can the simple way is you can just pip install CBP Pro. It's returning me an error because this one is not a Python code, it's a terminal code, so it would not run in Google Colab. But let me run that in terminal 1 second. No, there is not. There is something wrong with the code import request. If it doesn't work, again, you need to first pip install requests. Let me pull out my terminal. I need to stop sharing for a second because it doesn't let me pull out my terminal every time I'm sharing. WebEx is weird, but it just, I guess it's a bug. 1 second. Let me go back to Safari. All right, you should now see Safari again. I'll show you what terminal looks like. So here is terminal. I believe if you have a Windows device or Linux device, it's called Control Panel or something. But on Mac it's called this. So what you need to do is you need to pip install. So if your request didn't work, you need to pip install request first. Wait, I do have a Python 3. Pip version, hardware version. Let me try to. I'll just share my screen. Try if it's already CBP Pro. If that's the case, then there is an issue with my default endpoint the terminal version of Python. I'll look into it later, but let's try if this works. So I use public client because it's called a public client method. Only some endpoints in API are available to everyone, and the public endpoints can be reached use public client method. So for the CPP Pro, some database are private that you need to purchase access to it. So we're just using the public ones. Public client. If it gives us an error, it means oh, that's fine then. Yeah, so in PyCharm it's fine because it's Python 3. The configuration is Python 3. So get products, there is a command called get products. It gets a list of available currency pairs for trading. So what we can do is we do public clients dot products. We can just do get products instead of 24. This needs to be print. Okay, so we return something similar like we saw earlier. It's in like a JSON form. So again, this method get a list of available currency pairs for trading. And then there's also a command called the base min size and base max size. Those fields define the minimum and maximum order size. And then there's another command called, I'll show you. No, I'll just use another one. Print public client dot base code. I'll show code increment so that code increment. This one I have an error because let's see what we have over here. What error we got? Oh, okay. So we can't use this command because this command is for private clients. So as we're using their public client method, this is a function that's not open to public. Let's see. So probably get order book should work. Let's try. Okay, this one should work. Missing one. Okay, so here, the get product order book gets a list of open orders from a product, and the amount of detail shown can be customized with the level of parameter. So here we want to see the Bitcoin and Bitcoin price in relation to US dollars, right? So yeah, earlier in terms of that, before we want to simply just print out base min size and base max size. So what that means is that those just defines the maximum and minimum of the order size for the cryptocurrencies. Okay, so this one is the output for the get product order book. And then there are also some level descriptions. So we see that there are 1 and then 2 and then 1. So 1 refers to only the best bid and ask, and the 2 refers to the top 50 bids and asks. They are aggregated, and 3 are full order book, the full order book, and they're not non-aggregated. So let's do this one. Again, we always use public client for this one. The get product order book. And we still want to do Bitcoin, US dollars. There's also Ethereum, so do feel free to try different cryptocurrencies. And then here we want to first do a level 1 command. So the level 1 refers to only the best bid and ask, right? So we return this. Okay, so this one would return again the best bid and ask, and then we can also change it to level 2. So here for level 2, again, like I mentioned, this returns the top 50 bids and asks. 50. I will not do level 3 because that would return the whole book. Feel free to try it yourself. And also there's a command called get product ticker, and it snapshots information about the last trade tick and the best bid and ask and 24 hours volume. So we print and public client dot get product ticker. So this also, we noticed that with all the data we had earlier, this added a time to it. So that again, this shows the summary of the last trade. So right now is October 20th, and the latest trade, this shows the trade that just happened. Or the latest trade about the Bitcoin and US dollar, the USD. And we can also, we've been using Bitcoin all the time. Let's try ETH. This stands for Ethereum. Yeah, so this one would show the most recent trade for Ethereum. And then there's a command called get trades. It's a list the latest trades for a product. So we can do get products trades. Now we want to see so in terms of US dollars, we basically we define our the cryptocurrency the price in US dollars. Feel free to try euro or other currencies. Oh, I missed this product ID. Oh, my bad. Print. So this returns a generator, not an actual value. And more things we can do. So for example, if we want to get historical rates, right? So this one, the historical rates for a product, rates are returned in grouped buckets based on requested commands. So we do get historical rates, get product historical rates. Then again, we want to see ASRM to US dollars. So that would return the price volume. So here I'll just, cause this one, it's a big list with sublisting in it. It looks confusing. So the parameter description, the start time in ISO 8601, and then the end time is in ISO 8601. So it's not in US Eastern Time. That's why we saw earlier that the time was already 7 p.m. because it's using the ISO 8601 time. And then it also lets you to request graduality. So graduality, it's the desired timeline in seconds. So I'll give example. So at the same command, we can do granularity. If I pronounce it wrong, don't. Sorry about that. So we said we want to see trees every 3,300 seconds. So that allows us to see. It's not so very straightforward, but it returns the trade every 1 minute, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 6 hours, and 1 day. So you have the option to show 300, 900. Yeah, so this for the value for granularity, you had those options. Each represents 1 minute, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 6 hours, and 1 day. So you can see your trading based on those time gaps for like you want to see every 1 minute or every 24 hours. And also we can choose to get 24-hour status. That allows us to get 24-hour status for one product, and volume is in base currency units. And the return will show the open, high, low, or in cold currency units. I'll show get 24 hours. Oh, it's over here. So again, the perks about using an IDE is that it allows you to it sort of links some commands for you. So if you forget, it would remind you. So see here, then it would return the open price, highest price of the day, lowest price, the volume, the latest trade price, blah blah blah. So this one is relatively useful. And there is also a command called get currency, which is very useful. Print public client dot get currencies. So that will return the list of known currencies. The code description was BT. I will just show you. Yes, so we see that again it returns a very long string. So again, get currencies would let you list known currencies. Earlier we had Bitcoin for BTC, Ethereum for ETH, and then there's LTC is Litecoin, and now I guess they added more currencies into it. Feel free to go to the document and look and see what each code represents. And in terms of, so we're done with uh the Coinbase API. So again, for the Google Colab notebook that I will post on the document, if you run it, I got there over here because again, earlier my terminal had an issue as it sort of it integrated Python 2.7. I'll look more into it and see why is it, but yeah. So now I hope the other IDEs would work in this notebook, so I don't have to type everything. Let's try that. Let's try Echo the API. No, it's probably still giving me an error. Yeah, I'll skip this for now. If you got the same error, just do move the code into the Python, so that should be working just like over here. Yeah, let's try if Fred works. I think it would return. I'm not sure. It could be this API key expired, that we need to go to Federal Reserve to return a new API key. But so again, I'll go over it because earlier we probably still have results showing over here. Okay. Yeah, so earlier it worked. So I guess it was because the API key expired, so you need to go to website and request a new one. But now we'll just quickly go over and see what are the results supposed to be. So here under Fred API, it's called Fred R. It's very useful as currently I'm using a research for that. So for example, we can get a summary info about the time series, and then the command would be Fred.get series info, and we just want to see S&P 500 data. And again, because this is a Colab notebook, so we don't need to use the print. Remember earlier when we were using PyCharm, we always do like the print and then parentheses and then our command. So for the syntax under Colab, it's not needed. It would return anything that's inside your code, even there's no print. So here's the summary info for the stock S&P 500. You can also accessing each specific category from the summary. So here, if we do info title, earlier it returned the name called SP500, which would return this. Again, it's not working now because my device is somehow set up to Python 2.7. I'll look into it later. You know, I will share this document and then you can try to run on your own end and hopefully it works. How to peep in, yeah, so if you can open this document, I will share the folder access later, but it may work on your end because there is something wrong with my configuration. I guess I showed you earlier how to peep install, right? So you should be able to know it now. Do you still have a question on that? Sorry, I just saw the chat, so I might miss that. Okay, I'll take that as a yes. So here, as we see, there are many tradings happens every day. And if we want to show the last 5 rows of the data, we can do again data.tell and then 5. Those are very, this one's the same command as how we dealt with pandas. And then the good thing is it also tells you the data type, aka here we have 2 decimals, so it's a float. And then if we want to display the first 5 rows of data, again, this is very outdated. So the head would be 5. So do try it yourself because API is real time. So it should be the most recent data, not all the data back in 2008. And then the length of this data, we can also do length data. Those commands are basically the same as pandas. So here we can also get GDP data. So the Federal Reserve, they release GDP, I believe, quarterly base, or sometimes the Bloomberg returns GDP monthly base. But here it looks like in Fred dataset they have the GDP released on a quarterly base. And here, if we want to see the TEL 5, then we can see the latest release version of the GDP. So yeah, again, those shows that if we want to see all the release data, then we can just do get all release GDP. And here, in Colab, it would just show you like 5 examples, but in reality, that this command would return all the data that's been released. And then the get series would give you the latest release at each timestamp. And so we may notice that for a command, it's relatively straightforward. It's the name of the API and then dot command. And then inside the parentheses, it's usually the name of the variable or the name of the column, etc. Let's see here. So here is a combination of how we fix the way we display our data, because earlier we see that the data type, especially for the NASA data, the result we got was in JSON type, and then we need to decode it. And in order to further structure and form of data, we can import pandas as a way to deal with the dataset that we pull from API, and Matplotlib to draw our data. Again, this might give me an error again because Colab do use the inbuilt. Yeah, so again, I had an issue with the Federal Reserve API as either the key expired or because the terminal is integrated into Python 2.7. So yeah, so do try it on your end and then try those commands. So here, other commands are very straightforward. So get series, we already saw this, and then PLT plots would allows us to show the the number or the data of the S&P 500 with plotty. No, this is Matplotlib. Yeah. Yeah. So this is Matplotlib, the way that allows us to see the past price from 2008 to 2000 to a little bit ahead of 2019, because I created this notebook last year, pre 2018. So about last year this time. So yeah, so once the API is working, once you float your mouse against the chart, it's supposed to show like the data point of each like it's supposed to show each data point, but now it's not working because it's not integrated. So yeah, I will take a look into it again. So that's a little quick intro to API. Just gives you a general idea of how API works. Again, I need to go back and look at what happened with my terminals by its return Python 2.7 because earlier works. Here we have a case study of you do some research to concat historical GDP data and GDP from Fred. Feel free to take a look at it yourself. So again, I think earlier one of our classmates mentioned that there was a mix of calendar. It was today and next workshop. So next workshop will be go over clustering and the clustering hypothesis test and then the regression analysis in R. So yeah, so again, I need to take a look at my API case. So I will send an email with all the documents later. So that's about it for today's workshop. And yeah, and I'll make announcement about what's going on, why my terminal shows as Python 2.7. But yeah, so I'll be here I'll be in my meeting room till 6 p.m. So so hopefully I will release a new API key for Fred. That if that's an issue with the API key, I'll send one in the email as well. So that should be working for everyone. All right, let me know if you have any questions. I'll be here till 6. So feel free to hop in anytime later.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I found one. Can I run the R code in Python? In Python?
Wait, R Cloud?
Yes, because when I install the Python, it said I can add a R package, or I think if it's a mode. So
I've never used Python for R. Then why not using RStudio?
yeah, because when I install the Python, it said I can install a R package. It seems that, and I can run R code, but I never use it. So I want to know where I can run R code and the Python code at the same time. I mean, in one package, in one project.
Oh, I never tried that actually. I'm sorry, but yeah, you can try it if it's working, that's great. Yeah, well, you can if you have some R code in hand, why not just import it to PyCharm and see if it works. But if it works, that's great. If it's not, because I use RStudio separately for my R files, and I know in order to make both Python and R happen at the same time, you can use Anaconda that has RStudio and Jupyter Notebook for Python integrated together. But I believe in Anaconda, you still need to access two files separately.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, do try it yourself if it's working.
And I have a simple question.
Yeah.
When we use the import, is it the same like we use a library in R?
Yeah, it's import a library. It's
The same one.
Yeah, so request you can interpret as a library, and then CPP Pro is the public client for the cryptocurrency, right? And earlier we do import pandas to manipulate CSV, and then there is a Matplotlib to do visualization. Those are all libraries and packages.
So how can we know what are the functions in the maybe, for example, the CBP RO? Because in R we can use a help this code to know what's the functions in the package. So
Yeah. So if you want to see the parameters and commands in the package, I do believe there's a help, but I haven't used it for so long. But I believe on inside here, I did.
Sometimes I don't know on which one I should choose.
So here, this one I put
what's the most common
instructions for
in Python?
like to answer your question earlier, for each package and libraries, they do have like a user manual or tutorial that
Mm,
contains all the commands over here. So for example, for Coinbase, all the commands are here, and then the link is here inside our notebook. I'll share this notebook with you guys later with an email. And yeah, so for same thing for every single libraries, if you just quickly Google the libraries, they all have a user manual with all the parameters and commands in it.
okay.
Yeah, at least for the most commonly used one, for example, for Matplotlib or Pandas or pyplot, they all have those very in detailed instructions of how each command works.
Can you recommend one textbook for Python?
I'm sorry?
I mean, can you recommend one textbook?
Oh,
for-
textbook?
Yeah,
I don't use textbook, but
for
I do
beginners.
have one for my other class, and
Uh-huh.
I will. Did you sign up for that job?
Which one? I'm not sure.
Did you sign up through today's workshop through the Rutgers Lib guide?
No.
Oh, you did it? Can you just type your email in the chat and then I'll include you. Yeah, I will send you. I will include a book that I used. I might not be able to find it, but if I find it, I will include in my email. And that book is what I used for my class earlier, like when I was in undergrad. So that's the only book that I know. But I do recommend if you wanna, if you don't have base in Python, do try to go to, again, let me think, what's it called? Code Academy. Yes, Code Academy. Um, yeah, they have. I think I tried a lot of different websites, and Code Academy was my favorite, as it has like step-by-step instructions to let you to follow the code and in different sessions. For example, if you just want to know more about libraries, you can do that there. I think that's probably more useful than reading purely reading a textbook.
Is a textbook name? I should say.
No. It's a website called Code
Oh,
Academy. I'll type it here. Let me see if I spell it right. Code Academy. Yeah, I'll just this one. Some classes are free. Some you can do like a 7 days trial or something, but it's not so expensive. And yeah, I believe a lot of classes are free. And Python 3 is the intro to Python 3 is not free, but they do have different Python modules there, such as like using Python to do statistical analysis, use Python to deal with finance data, and all those are free.
okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And I'll stop recording for now.